Did you know Mars Incorporated introduced Three Musketeers in 1932? It came in a box and had 3 mini candy bars in it. One was strawberry, one was chocolate, and one was vanilla. Three Musketeers is a chocolate bar made in the United States and Canada by Mars Incorporated. The Three Musketeers candy bar consists of chocolate-covered fluffy whipped nougat. It is a lighter chocolate bar similar to the Milky Way without the caramel topping. The name of the candy was derived from the 1844 novel The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas, hence the reason for the 3 flavors. Mars stopped producing the strawberry and vanilla versions in 1945 due to World War II. Rationing of sugar began during the war in 1942, and it became too expensive to continue producing all 3 flavors. Costing 5 cents when it was introduced, it was marketed as one of the largest chocolate bars available, one that could be shared by friends. I'm not sure I would want to share. Did you know Ellis Island is a federally owned island in New York Harbor, situated within the U.S. states of New Jersey and New York? That was the busiest immigrant inspection and processing station in the United States. Today, it is part of the Statue of Liberty National Monument and is accessible to the public only by ferry. From 1892 to 1954, nearly 12 million immigrants arriving at the Port of New York and New Jersey were processed there under federal law. On January 1st of 1892, Annie Moore was the first passenger to disembark at Ellis Island on its opening day. She had traveled to the United States with her 2 younger brothers aboard the SS Nevada after departing from Queenstown, Ireland. Annie married a son of German Catholic immigrant Joseph Augustus Scheer, a salesman at Manhattan's Fulton Fish Market. She died of heart failure on December 6th of 1924 and is buried in Calvary Cemetery, Queens. Her previously unmarked grave was identified on August of 2006. Did you know in 2014, at an event hosted by venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, McDonald's CEO Donald Thompson was asked what the fast food giant was doing to provide healthier food options for children. The fact was they were attempting healthier options. I would say they were thinking out of the box, or should I say they were thinking out of the bubblegum machine. 3 years earlier, the chain had already revamped its Happy Meal by cutting the amount of French fries in half and offering fruit as a side option. But Thompson said they had also experimented with some unconventional methods of enticing children to eat healthier. One such innovation, he said, was bubblegum-flavored broccoli. That bubble burst when broccoli-laced gum was tested on actual children. As you might imagine, the vegetable creation didn't exactly surprise or delight its intended audience. Don't worry, you won't be seeing the strange concoction on the dollar menu anytime soon. The idea was scrapped, and Happy Meals are currently stocked with more mainstream healthy sides, such as yogurt and apple slices. You have to give credit to McDonald's for trying anyways. Did you know getting new equipment to the International Space Station used to take months or years, but new technology means the tools are ready within hours. Thanks to 3D printing, NASA can basically email tools to astronauts. In 2014, the International Space Station's 3D printer completed the first phase of a NASA technology demonstration by printing a tool with a design file transmitted from the ground to the printer. The tool was a ratchet wrench. Astronauts can also use 3D printers to build their spacesuits and clothes. This eliminates the need for resupplying the spacecraft with new equipment. This equipment could be spare parts for rockets as well. NASA Redwire and the Uniformed Service University of the Health Science Center for Biotechnology are sending a new 3D printer to the International Space Station, Redwire's biofabrication facility, to bioprint a human knee meniscus in orbit and study the result on Earth. Ideally, this will lead to treatments for the meniscal injuries that U.S. soldiers all too frequently face. That's all bunches of crazy and amazing. Did you know the first speeding ticket issued to a motorist took place on January 28th of 1896 in Paddock Wood, Kent, in England? A constable spotted a fast driver named Walter Arnold speeding down the street. He had to give chase on his bike. When the constable stopped Arnold after a 5-mile chase, he cited him for speeding. Arnold had been going 4 times over the posted speed limit. While that sounds like a lot, the speed limit at the time was a blistering 2 miles per hour. Arnold was fined a shilling for speeding at 8 miles per hour. Arnold could have avoided the citation, however, since the law stated that a person could go over the 2-mile-per-hour speed limit if they had someone else in front of them waving a red flag to alert anyone on the street of their breakneck speed. The speed limit later was changed the same year to 14 miles an hour. Take that, Van Diesel, and your Fast and Furious franchise. You don't got nothing on Walter Arnold. Did you know dogs can smell thousands of times better than humans? Their noses have millions more scent receptors. For example, a human nose averages 5 million, while a dachshund's nose has 125 million, making dogs useful for sniffing out drugs, dead bodies, bed bugs, explosives, and other things dogs can smell that humans can't. Scientists have confirmed that dogs can smell cancer in its early stages, specifically lung and breast cancer. That's crazy. The cancerous tumor produces proteins that dogs can smell in urine. They can sense several types of cancer, including lung cancer, bladder cancer, prostate cancer, and breast cancer. Hormones are detectable by dogs in our breath and in our sweat. Since dogs are astoundingly in tune with our smells, they can detect very minuscule changes, letting them know when we are happy, sad, stressed, or scared. There are even dogs that are specifically trained to assist those with severe diabetes, to warn them when their glucose levels drop too low. All our dogs have superpowers and a very, very good sense of smell. Did you know there are some things we just can't do with our bodies, or very few people can do with their bodies? It's impossible to hum while holding your nose. That's because you need to breathe out your nose to make the sound. Sure, you can make bizarre noises out your mouth. That isn't humming. Most people can't lick their elbows. This is due to the anatomy of the human arm and the position of the elbow joint, which makes it difficult for the tongue to reach. It's not impossible to do if you're very, very flexible. That gives me reason for thought. Why the hell would we want to lick our own elbows? Twitching your nose. Now, Samantha Stevens from Bewitched can do it, but very few can. Elizabeth Montgomery, the actress that played Samantha, actually got sick and tired of being asked to twitch her nose by her fans, and she refused to do it after the series was over. Toot your own horn. How do I explain this one without being demonetized? According to researchers, who the heck is researching this? According to researchers, 2 to 3 out of 1,000 men in the world can pleasure themselves with their own mouth. I suppose that's a good note to end on. Did you know the inventor of the Pringles can was buried in a Pringles can? Frederick John Baer was an American organic chemist and food storage scientist notable for designing and patenting the Pringles packaging. Baer filed for a patent for the tubular Pringles container and for the method of packaging the curved stacked potato chip in the container. He did that in 1966, and it was granted in 1971. Baer passed away May 4th of 2008 at the age of 89 in Cincinnati, Ohio. Baer's children said they honored his request to bury him in one of the cans by placing part of his cremated remains in an original flavor container. I would have opted for barbecue, but to each their own. His Pringles container is in his grave in suburban Springfield Township. The rest of his remains were placed in an urn, buried along with the can, with some placed in another urn and given to one of Baer's grandchildren. The guy gets around more dead than I do alive. He seems to be spreading himself thin. Did you know a 10-year-old mattress weighs double its original weight? This is due to the debris it absorbs over time, such as mites, mold, dead skin cells, dandruff, spills, and yada yada yada. Every night we sweat and release natural body oils while sleeping. Over time, these substances can accumulate on the mattress, leading to stains and odors. Dust mites and other allergens can make their way into your mattress, especially if it's not adequately protected. This can exacerbate allergies and contribute to a less hygienic sleeping environment. Accidental spills, whether from beverages, food, or other substances, can stain and soil a mattress. These spills can promote the growth of bacteria and mold, and a lot of us have sex on that thing. Those fluids build up. Our bodies naturally shed dead skin cells, and many of these end up on our bedding and mattresses. These cells provide a food source for dust mites and other microorganisms. So make sure you're cleaning your mattress, and make sure you have a good night's sleep. Did you know in the town of Brno am Inn on the Austrian-German border, there is a large stone relief of a man with an unusually long beard stretching down past his feet? At first glance, it might seem a bit outlandish, but it's a fitting monument to an important man who was killed by his own facial hair. Hans Steininger set the record for having the longest beard in the world in 1560. Some articles say it was 4.2 feet long, and others say 4.5 feet long. Regardless, the dude had a long beard. The story goes that one day in 1567, a fire broke out in Brno am Inn. Hans didn't tuck his massively long beard away. In his haste to escape the burning building, Hans tripped over his own lengthy beard, fell down a flight of stairs, and broke his neck. Over 450 years later, Hans Steininger's deadly facial hair is still on display if you have a burning desire to go visit it. Hans Steininger's story has become something of a historical curiosity and a cautionary tale about the potential hazards of extremely long facial hair. I think I'll shave today. Did you know the dancing plague of 1518, or the dance epidemic of 1518, was a case of dancing mania that occurred in Strasbourg from July 1518 to September 1518. The outbreak began when a woman by the name of Frau Troffea began to dance fervently in the street of Strasbourg. Troffea kept up this constant dancing for a week straight. Soon, 36 others joined in on the dancing chaos. In August of the same year, the dancing plague claimed 400 victims. Dancers were beginning to collapse. It is said some even died due to stroke or heat attack. No one knew what was causing this reaction, which meant no one understood how to remedy this situation either. By early September, the outbreak began to subside as the dancers were sent to a mountain shrine to pray for absolution. Historians and scholars have proposed various theories to explain the dancing plague, including religious fervor, psychological stress, and environmental factors. Did you know humans have a lot in common with bananas? Yes, it's true that a significant portion of the human genome shares similarities with the genomes of bananas and other plants. Essentially, scientists took all of the banana genes and compared them one at a time to human genes. Why did they do this? They must have been bored at the lab one day. The reason for this similarity lies in the shared evolutionary history of all living organisms on Earth. All life forms, including humans and plants, share a common ancestor in the distant past. Over millions of years of evolution, genes responsible for fundamental cellular processes and functions have been conserved across species. These are often referred to as homologous genes. According to one research, 60% of our genes have a recognizable counterpart in the banana genome. Of those 60%, the proteins encoded by them are roughly 40% identical when we compare the amino acid sequence of the human protein to its equivalent in the banana. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds really important. Did you know some human body parts once were considered to serve no purpose, but further research doesn't make that necessarily true? Here are some examples of body parts that are often cited as having limited function in modern humans. And believe it or not, I am not a doctor, so I may mispronounce some of these terms. The appendix is a small tube-like structure attached to the cecum, a part of the large intestine. Recent research suggests that it may play a role in the immune system and gut health, so don't get rid of it just yet. The coccyx, I guess? The tailbone is a small triangular bone at the base of the vertebral column. It is a remnant of a tail that our distant ancestors had. It does provide attach points for various muscles and ligaments. The plica semilunaris, I guess, is a small fold of tissue in the inner corner of the human eye, or a third eyelid. It may still have a minor protective function. Tonsils are lymphoid tissues located in the throat. They are part of the immune system and play a role in protecting against infections. But we can have quality of life living without them. There's today's useless knowledge. Did you know it would take an hour to drive to space? Space is technically only about 62 miles from the Earth's surface. If you had a special car that could drive straight up, it would only take an hour to reach it. But make sure you fill up before you go. At this point, there's no gas stations along the route. And if you have an electric car, you might as well just stay home. Once you load up the flux capacitor and get the kids into the family truckster, it's time for National Lampoon's Space Vacation. Christy Brinkley will probably fly past you in her red solar rocket. Cousin Eddie in his propulsion Winnebago, scraping the seagull guts from the windshield and serving it to the family. Can you imagine people driving to space? They can barely drive on the road. Driving to space would be a disaster. Now, if you want to drive to the moon, make sure you pack an extra lunch. To get to the moon would take a little longer, as it's 250,000 miles away, around 10 times the circumference of the Earth. Just make sure to check the oil, make sure the tires have air, and buckle up before you go. Did you know the largest tree in the world, as measured by volume, is the General Sherman tree, which is a giant sequoia located in the giant forest of Sequoia National Park in California, USA. General Sherman tree is estimated to be around 2,200 years old. It stands approximately 270 feet tall and has a diameter of its base of about 36.5 feet. Its total volume is estimated to be over 52,500 cubic feet. Sequoias can grow to enormous proportions, and some individual trees in the same area also rank among the world's largest and oldest living organisms. Sequoia National Park and the adjacent King Canyon National Park are home to many of these ancient and colossal trees. While General Sherman is indeed one of the most massive and famous giant sequoias and is often touted as the largest tree by volume, it's not necessarily the largest living organism on Earth. What is, did you ask? Tune in tomorrow and I'll tell you. Now, go make like a tree and leave. Did you know, and this is a continuation from yesterday, while General Sherman is undoubtedly one of the most remarkable and massive trees on Earth, General Sherman is the largest individual tree by volume, but it's not the largest living organism in terms of size or interconnected structure. The largest living organism is considered to be a specific Armillaria ostiae fungus in the Muller National Forest in eastern Oregon, USA. This fungus covers an area of about 2,385 acres and is estimated to be thousands of years old. It consists of a vast network of mycelia, the underground structure of a fungus, and it is often referred to as the humongous fungus or the honey fungus. Fungus plays a vital role in the ecosystem. Without fungus, we wouldn't have wine or bread. Wood wouldn't break down after it died, and we wouldn't have anything to put on our salads. Fungus is one of the least understood members of the living world, and I always thought I was the least understood member of the living world. Did you know Just Room Enough is the smallest inhabited island in the world? It was purchased in the 1950s by a wealthy family to serve as a holiday home. Just Room Enough Island is a real place, and it is located in the Thousand Islands region of the St. Lawrence River between the United States and Canada. The island is indeed named for the fact that it's quite small and has just enough room for a single tree and a tiny house. This island is exceptionally small, measuring approximately 3,300 square feet, and that's about 0.08 acres. The house was built to take full advantage of the limited available space, and it occupies a significant portion of the island. The house includes a living room, kitchen, bedroom, and a small garden. Just Room Enough Island is a charming and unusual destination, offering a glimpse into the creativity of property owners who have made the most of their small piece of land in a beautiful natural setting in the Thousand Island region. My only question is, how do they get to the store? Did you know? The more I research this story, the more I think this is bullcrap. This comes from an online news source, The Cut. According to them, in 2014, there was a Tinder match in Antarctica. Two research scientists matched on the global dating app, a man working at the United States Antarctic McMurdo Station, and a woman, another researcher, working at a deep field camp, a 45-minute helicopter ride away. According to The Cut, a few weeks after the match, the scientist emailed them to say that he had finally met his Tinder match. The interaction was brief. She was leaving Antarctica the next day, but he expects they'll hang out again before the end of the summer research season. The scientist, who asked not to be named out of concern that the government would revoke his internet privileges if anyone found out he was using precious broadband to look for hookups. If Antarctica is so remote and Tinder is a pretty private thing, how did this ever become public? How did some small, obscure online news site learn of this? The skeptic in me isn't 100% sure this story is true, but it sounds nice. What do you think? Did you know, while ketchup is primarily known as a condiment, it has a history that includes medical use. The origins of ketchup can be traced back to ancient China, where it was made from fermented fish brine, soybeans, and various spices. This early form of ketchup was not only used for culinary purposes, but also for its purported medical benefits. In traditional Chinese medicine, some of the ingredients used in early ketchup were believed to have health benefits. For example, fermented fish brine was thought to aid digestion, and various spices were used for their potential medical properties. Over time, the concept of ketchup traveled to Europe and evolved. In the Western world, ketchup gradually shifted from a fermented fish-based sauce to a tomato-based sauce, sweetened with sugar, which is a version of ketchup that is mostly common today. Today, ketchup is primarily enjoyed as a condiment for foods like hamburgers, hot dogs, and French fries, rather than as a medical remedy. And the beautiful part is it has no fish brine in it. Yuck. I don't think I want fish brine on my hot dog. Did you know, located around the world, there are toilet museums? Not just one, but several. Toilet museums, also known as sanitarium museums, are institutions that focus on the history and evolution of toilets and sanitation systems. Here's a list of them as best I can pronounce them. There's the Sulabha International Museum of Toilets in New Delhi, India. Mr. Toilet House in Suwon, South Korea. Museum of Toilet History in Yevik, Ukraine? I wonder Russia wants that country so bad. Putin being a shithead and all. The Paris Museum of Sewers in Paris, France. Gladstone Pottery Museum in Stoke-on-Trent, England. Shanghai Sewage Museum in Shanghai, China. Tokyo Sewage Museum in Tokyo, Japan. Sewerage Science Museum in Osaka, Japan. Barney Smith's Toilet Seat Art Museum in the Colony, Texas. There's even a World Toilet Organization stationed in Singapore. Did you know, as a follow-up to yesterday's toilet museums, I found there are actually toilet-themed restaurants, and not just one. That gives a whole new meaning to someone telling you to eat shit, because you can literally go and eat shit. Well, the food looks like shit. Check out some of these restaurants. Finishing up the last day of our potty theme weekend, I bring you a story out of Potsdam, New York, submitted to me by Mike Kenny from the social media site Nextdoor. Potsdam, New York resident Hank Robert felt a bit slighted over a land dispute he had with a Dunkin' Donuts deal and his town. His protest over the matter was rather unique and long-lasting. Robert repurposed old toilets as a unique form of public art in the form of a toilet garden. All this happened some 20 years ago. Since then, the toilet garden has been the subject of protests, petitions, international news sources, and arguments. It is Robert's land. You would think this would be a great tourist attraction. Small town politics is ridiculous. It's Potsdam, my dudes, not Paris, France. Get over yourselves. You're not the cultural center of the world. No one knew your town existed until this story. Check out the documentary on the subject called Potty Town, directed by Morgan Elliott. You can watch it for free on Vudu, Tubi, and Plex TV. Did you know Arizona made it illegal to hunt and kill camels? The law was part of the revised Arizona law in 1901, Section 578. It applies to anyone who hunts, pursues, takes, kills, or destroys a camel. In the mid-19th century, the United States Army experimented with what they called the United States Camel Corps. In an operation out of Camp Verde, Texas, they tested the capabilities of camels for military use. Although the animals proved to be both hardy and resilient, the animals never saw live action. The program was scrapped following the Civil War, and the camels were all set free. The last sighting of a live camel in Arizona was made in 1891. Considering the law was adopted in 1901, and the last sighting of a camel in Arizona is 1891, it only can be speculated as to why the law exists at all. The Arizona Game and Fish Department is the organization that regulates hunting within Arizona, and said it has no regulations regarding camels. Did you know, and I thought this was not only funny, but very ironic considering people do this on a constant basis on this very platform. There is actually a word for someone giving an opinion on something they know nothing about. An ultra-crepidarian is someone who voices thoughts beyond their expertise. The word is often used to criticize individuals who provide unsolicited advice or express strong opinions on topics they are not qualified to discuss. Have you ever had a friend or family member or even acquaintance who knew everything, or at least they thought they knew everything? Those people aren't very self-aware, as they come off more like idiots than intellectuals. I had a son-in-law like that in my past life. He was absolutely ridiculous. Social media is a perfect example. There are so many self-proclaimed commentators, so-called influencers, and Monday morning quarterbacks commenting about other people's lives. It goes beyond the realm of stupidity. Clean up your own backyard and don't worry about anyone else's. I can guarantee your life is not 100% perfect. Did you know Robert the Doll was created in the early 20th century, around 1904, reportedly manufactured by the Steiff Company? The doll was a gift to a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto from his grandfather as a birthday gift. Some stories say the doll was given to Gene by a family servant who was believed to have practiced voodoo and black magic. I tend to believe it was the grandfather. Gene became very attached to the doll and named it Robert after himself. Strange events started happening after Gene received the doll. He would often blame the doll for causing mischief. death, and visitors to the Otto family's home claim they could hear the doll giggling or moving on its own. Jean maintained a strong attachment to Robert throughout his life. Not sure how true that is. There's never been a picture of Jean with the doll. After Jean's death in 1974, the doll was placed in the Key West Martello Museum. It's said Jean's doll was one of the inspirations for the character Chucky from the Child's Play franchise. But who really knows if that's true either? Did you know Robert the doll is on display at the Ford East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida? You should know, I told you the last video. The doll is housed in a glass case to prevent visitors from touching it. Visitors who wish to take a photograph of Robert are advised to ask his permission and are also encouraged to be polite, as it's believed that failing to do so can lead to misfortune or bad luck. Many letters from visitors apologizing to the doll for not asking permission are on display. There are numerous reports of people experiencing misfortune after visiting Robert the doll and failing to show him the proper respect. People have claimed that they've experienced accidents, illnesses, or other unfortunate events after taking photographs of the doll without asking permission or making disparaging remarks. Of course, that stuff never happens unless you visit that doll. While skeptics argue that the tales of Robert the doll are mere superstition and folklore, it remains a popular tourist attraction and a significant part of Key West local legend. I have a sock puppet that talks to me all the time. It's really weird. Did you know the world's largest rubber duck weighs over 11 tons? A massive rubber duck sculpture known as Rubber Duck. Took some time for them to name that. Rubber Duck has traveled to various cities around the world. That just quacks me up.
Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun.
Created by Dutch artist Florentine Hoffman, the sculpture is part of a series of gigantic rubber ducks that have been exhibited in various cities around the world. Florentine's other works include Big Yellow Rabbit, a giant yellow rabbit made of stuffed animal plush toys. In 2014, Hoffman created Hippopotamus, a massive floating sculpture of a hippopotamus that was installed in the Thames River in London. Fat Monkey is a sculpture made of wooden planks and resembling a rotund monkey. Florentine Hoffman's work often incorporates humor, childhood memories, and a sense of wonder, making them accessible and appealing to a wide audience. Did you know there are 2 documented cases of women serving during the United States Civil War? Who knows if there were more? I would imagine so. In this video, we'll concentrate on Sarah Emma Edmonds Seeley, born as Sarah Emma Evelyn Edmonds. Oh my god. She lived from December 1841 to September 5th of 1898. She was a Canadian-born woman, disguised herself as a man, and served as a soldier in the Union Army. Edmonds initially adopted the identity of a man named Frank Thompson and joined the 2nd Michigan Infantry as a field nurse. She later became a male field spy working for the Union Army's intelligence service. During her service, she participated in various battles and espionage missions, often using disguises and aliases to gather valuable information about Confederate forces. One of her most famous exploits was her infiltration of Confederate lines during the First Battle of Bull Run in 1861. She posed as a black man, a Southern sympathizer, and a woman to gather crucial information for the Union. Did you know there are 2 documented cases of women serving during the United States Civil War? I would imagine there were more. In this video, we'll concentrate on Jenny Irene Hodgers, an Irish-American serving as a soldier in the Union Army during the American Civil War. Jenny Hodgers enlisted in the 95th Illinois Infantry under the name Albert D.J. Cashier. In 1862, shortly after the Civil War began, for over 3 years, Cashier served as a soldier participating in various battles and campaigns, including the Siege of Vicksburg and the Battle of Guntown. Cashier's true gender and identity were known to only a few comrades. After the war, Cashier continued to live as a man and held various jobs, including working as a laborer and a farmhand. Cashier's true identity was eventually discovered in 1913, but by then they had lived most of their life as a man. Albert D.J. Cashier died on October 10th, 1915, with full military honors. Did you know, and I always have to check on these things because they don't sound right, and I have to check 2 or 3 resources before I put them online. This one I was reading, it said the idea that people said prunes instead of cheese in the 1840s to keep their mouth taut and avoid smiling in early photographs is common but an inaccurate myth, which sounds right because if you go prunes, you look like a fish. But cheese, you're smiling. 1840s, it took so long for the exposure to happen, you had to stand still until I'm not sure how long. I'll have to look it up. But You're not going to go like that. That's why in old photographs, you don't see people smiling because they have to stand there for an amount of time. It says right here, exposure time was originally anywhere from 5 minutes to half an hour. You just had to stand there or sit there. Innovations in the 1840s increased the sensitivity of photograph plates and reduced the exposure time to under a minute. So there we go. Now we both know. Did you know? Do we even use these things anymore? The first telephone directory, often considered the first phone book, was published in New Haven, Connecticut in 1878. This phone book was created just a few years after the invention of the telephone. The New Haven District Telephone Company published this early phone directory, which contained a list of names and phone numbers for local businesses and individuals who had subscribed to telephone service in the area. It was a single sheet of paper with information for about 50 subscribers. Before the advent of phone directories, telephone users typically knew each other personally, as the number of telephones and telephone subscribers were quite limited. The concept of a telephone directory became more widespread as telephone networks expanded and the number of subscribers grew. Over time, phone directories became more comprehensive and were published by various telephone companies in different regions. With the rise of the internet, online directories and search engines have largely replaced printed phone books for finding phone numbers and contact information. I wonder if your average high schooler or preschooler even knows what a phone book is. Did you know? These are words and phobias associated with Halloween that I'll try my hardest to pronounce, and we'll have some fun with it. And we'll start with Samhainophobia. Samhainophobia is the fear of Halloween, and for some people, the holiday's spooky themes and costumes can be quite unsettling. Coimatrophobia is a fear of cemeteries, and Halloween's association with graveyards can be particularly distressing for individuals with this phobia. Sanguivore phobia is the fear of vampires. I didn't make these up, I'm just reporting them. Kinemortophobia is a fear of zombies, and with so much attention being paid to fictional zombie apocalypses on TV and at the movies, this may be on the rise. Okay, we'll continue this silliness in the next video. I'm having too much fun. Oh, by the way, happy Halloween. I hope you don't have Samhainophobia. The fear of Halloween. I hope you don't have a fear of Halloween. Did you know? Here are some more words and phobias associated with Halloween that I'll have a hard time pronouncing and I'll butcher. Wiccaphobia. This is our irrational fear of witches. That one makes sense and actually was easy to pronounce. Phasmophobia is a fear of ghosts. It's a beautiful word. Pediophobia. No, it's not a fear of pedophiles, but certainly fear them as well. Pediophobia is a fear of dolls. And speaking of, I've been watching the Chucky TV series recently. Some good, stupid fun. I would recommend it. Although very gory and a lot of profanity. Teratophobia, the fear of monsters. Grrr. Coilrophobia. People with this are afraid of clowns. Just watch the Terrifier movies or It. That should clue you in as to why. All right, we're out of time. We'll do more next year. Happy Halloween. I'll go back to words I can pronounce now. Unless I have logophobia, which is a fear of words. Uh-oh. Did you know Crosby, Minnesota is a small city known for its picturesque lakes and outdoor recreational activities? It's also known for a serial killer hanging out at the bottom of its lake. There's a statue of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th series of movies at the bottom of that lake in Crosby, Minnesota. 10 years ago, Doug Klein, a big fan of the Friday the 13th movies, decided to create Jason out of scraps he got from construction sites while working his day job as an electrician. Klein, who also scuba dives, borrowed a fake head from his diving buddy, Curtis Lauer, and spent around $30 on some thrift store clothes. In the man-made lake in Crosby, formerly a mine pit, Jason Voorhees was lowered down 112 feet below the surface at Louise Mine Lake in 2013, and is still there today. Klein put him there as a nod to the 6th movie in the series when the character is chained to the bottom of Crystal Lake. Did you know? I think any horror fan or a fan of the movie Halloween knows that Michael Myers' mask was originally a William Shatner, aka James T. Kirk Halloween mask. The first mask used for the character of Michael Myers in the now classic John Carpenter 1978 flick Halloween was a store-bought Captain Kirk mask made by Donport Studios, DPS. DPS had created what are called life casts of various actors during production of the movie The Devil's Reign from 1975. The molds made of the actors' character's face were then used for facial prosthesis during the melting scene in the movie. For years, people thought Shatner was wearing a full mask during some of the scenes of The Devil's Reign, and that exact mask was later used on Halloween. That's not the case. In Devil's Reign, he was only wearing a facial piece, not a full mask. The reason there is a striking similarity between the Devil Reign's facial prosthesis and the Captain Kirk mask used in Halloween is because both were made by Don Post Studios and both made from the above life cast of William Shatner.
Well, these are chamois that you buy at the hardware store to wash your car. If you have one Foley prop in your arsenal, get a chamois because they are great for gush.
Every day this month, we'll be covering themes based on the holidays and the Christmas spirit. This week will be dedicated to Santa Claus and the teachings that need to be abided by. Yes, kids, even Santa Claus has to go to school. Did you know there are schools dedicated to teaching you how to be Santa Claus? These schools uphold the traditions and preserve the history of Santa Claus while providing students with the necessary resources to improve and further define their presentations of Santa and Mrs. Claus, allowing them to enter the hearts and spread the Christmas spirit to everyone they meet. Santa schools are institutions or programs that offer training and education to individuals who want to portray Santa Claus professionally. These schools typically teach various aspects of being Santa, including interacting with children, maintaining the Santa persona, dressing, and more. Join us, and when I say us, I mean me. Join me in the next week as we explore these awesome schools and what makes each of them unique. The Charles W. Howard Santa Claus School is one of the oldest and most renowned Santa schools in the country, if not the world. It has been running since 1937 and offers a comprehensive 3-day program covering all aspects of being Santa Claus. Born in 1896, Charles W. Howard hailed from Albion, New York, and had a lifelong fascination with the Christmas season and its traditions. Charles was widely regarded as one of the most iconic Santas in history. Charles established a Santa school in response to his displeasure with seeing other Santas in frayed suits, cheap beards, and shockingly inadequate knowledge of reindeer. His first class consisted of 3 men, including a welder from New Jersey, his friend, and a neighbor. Charles W. Howard passed away in 1966, but his legacy lives on through the Santa school that bears his name. The school continues to train individuals who wish to portray Santa Claus, carrying forward his teachings and commitment to preserving the magic and goodwill associated with the beloved Christmas figure. Did you know the International University of Santa Claus, aka School for Santas, has multiple locations across the United States and Canada? It provides training programs and resources for individuals aspiring to become professional Santas.
The subjects I teach start with the basics of greeting the families and the children and talking with them, posing for pictures, answering the most difficult questions the children ask, and then it goes into more details on wardrobe and background checks, security, insurance that we have to have. And then for those Santas who just do private parties and events, how those vary and how they're different. How to handle a tree lighting or how to appear in a parade and know how to wave correctly. Things like that.
International University of Santa Claus boasts of being the world's largest Santa school, celebrating over 5,000 graduates and 20 years of training and support for Santas and Mrs. Claus. Did you know, founded in 1995 by James Sanderson and Johnny Roxburgh, the Ministry of Fun quickly gained a reputation for creating innovative and unforgettable events.
James Lovell is the founder and director of the Ministry of Fun Santa School, the longest-running genuine training school for professional Father Christmases in the UK.
Sometimes people think it's made up and it isn't for real, because it just sounds so bonkers, but it is actually a real thing. We started it 25 years ago, actually. We started the Santa School with a view to making sure that anyone that booked us booked people who were prepared in every way to recreate the magic of the real Santa, who does exist, by the way. I do have to stress that. We're only helping him out on those very rare occasions that he can't be in two places at once.
Did you know, founded in 1995 by James Sanderson and Johnny Roxburgh, the Ministry of Fun quickly gained a reputation for creating innovative and unforgettable events.
James Lovell is the founder and director of the Ministry of Fun Santa School, the longest running genuine training school for professional Father Christmases in the UK.
Sometimes people think it's made up and it isn't for real, because it just sounds so bonkers, but it is actually a real thing. We started it 25 years ago, actually. We started the Santa School with a view to making sure that anyone that booked us booked people who were prepared in every way to recreate the magic of the real Santa, who does exist, by the way. I do have to stress that. We're only helping him out on those very rare occasions that he can't be in two places at once.
Did you know? Hey, let's clear this up. I am basically making this series of videos today because of this.
Last year, I get a letter in the mail. And the letter is right here. Please remove your Negro Santa Claus yard decoration. You should not try to deceive children into believing that I am a Negro. I am a Caucasian, white man to you, and have been for the past 600 years. Your being jealous of my race is no excuse for your dishonesty. Maybe you should move to a neighborhood with the rest of your racist kind. Yours truly, Santa Claus.
Racists, bigots, and homophobes, I'm about to educate you that Santa Claus wasn't originally a honky. Honky meant white back in my day. Did you know I am far from politically correct? I don't believe Hollywood should change the race or gender of an iconic character to just show off their misguided attempt at representation. I call it misrepresentation. In the case of Santa Claus, there's a collection of people from various backgrounds, colors, genders, and races who make Santa Claus their own. Not because they're trying to cater to a broad audience or pound their chest showing off how inclusive they can be. We'll leave that to Hollywood because they do it so well. The people in question become Santa Claus, do it for the love of the character and to make it their own based on their upbringing and circumstances. Why is Santa Claus perceived as white? Depictions of Santa Claus as a white man came about mainly because he was a European import, a blend of the Dutch Sinterklaas and British folklore character Father Christmas. He was also solidified white by Western culture with the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas written by Clement Clarke Moore in 1823 and Coca-Cola's depiction of Santa in their advertisements from the 1930s, and you can see how we perceive jolly old St. Nick today. Did you know the person that Santa Claus is based on was named St. Nicholas, and he was Turkish? This is what Turkish people look like. If you want the full story of St. Nicholas, head over to my postings on my other channel. Yes, that's a shameless plug.
They're destroying Santa Claus.
And really, the Bible that I read says that this is a sin.
Santa's not in the Bible.
Okay. Santa's not in the Bible.
It's not against the law to be racist. That's not even really what these videos are about. If you choose to continue to be a racist, at least become an educated racist, because you come off as both a racist and an idiot. Christmas time and the holidays are meant to symbolize joy to the world and goodwill towards your neighbor, not write a stupid letter and cowardly put it in their mailbox. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, and let's try to be a little more tolerant and respectful and understanding out there. We all got shit we gotta deal with. Cut everyone a break and stop being so judgmental. Did you know Richard Reyes is no ordinary Kris Kringle? For 40 years, beginning in the early 1980s, the Houstonian Santa, unlike any other, dresses in a bright red and black zoot suit with a fedora. Poncho Claus has helped thousands of disadvantaged children to feel the joy of Christmas, bringing gifts and throwing colorful seasonal parties that their low-income parents could not afford. He does not come the night before Christmas in a miniature sleigh with reindeer like St. Nick, but instead parades along city streets with an equally number of low riders, often surrounded by a festive jazz band. The character of Poncho Claus, the Tex-Mex Santa, grew out of the Chicano civil rights movement in the late 1970s and early 1980s and is sometimes referred to as Santa's cousin from the South Pole. According to Reyes, Poncho Claus comes into the house through the bathroom window instead of the chimney because many homes didn't have them in the predominantly Hispanic Second Ward neighborhood. Did you know, as a conservative and a Republican, it bothers me that this kind of stupidity is what people see as our representation. This was not a video I planned on making until I watched this stupidity. No.
Taking a historical figure who has been an important, arguably one of the most important cultural icons of Western civilization and changing the race is cultural appropriation. I don't care. I just don't know why it's necessary. I don't understand why people feel they need a black Santa Claus. Yeah.
As a conservative and a Republican, this narcissistic idiot doesn't represent me or any conservatives I know. I'll put the link to this full video in the description, and I'll have the real video for you a bit later. It's fucking Christmas. There's too many stupid people. We gotta get rid of the stupid people. We'll work on that in 2024. Did you know this will be the last day full of Santa schools and Santas? We'll end it with the real Black Santa, D. Sinclair.
Why is it so important for black children to see Black Santa?
Yeah. Well, it's not just black kids. I'm actually trying to start a coalition called Santas of Color Coalition, so that kids of every nation can see their own. It's important because it builds character in the kids. It says, okay, I'm important, my race is important, my culture is important, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely.
And actually,
take a picture with Santa Claus. I know. Okay, I'm open. I want to go over Santa too. Come on, baby, get on here, turn around.
You want to find out more about the Real Black Santa and all that he is doing, be sure to visit therealblacksanta.com.
That's the video I originally intended to make. We'll switch gears tomorrow, and y'all have a good Friday.